Hey guys, this is my tutorial for MMM Early. I'm going to make this more of a beginner tutorial. I'm going to get really detailed with all the very specific strategies to try to explain not only the trick itself, but like how each element of the trick works. Because I think this trick is easier than a lot of people think, and I think a lot of people can save time by learning it. So just to get started, I'll explain my setup for voiding out here. I'm not going to go too much into detail for this because I'm not that good at it. But as long as you get it, and you don't even have to go for it. If you don't want, you can just walk back to the load zone. But so yeah, I just come up here, I keep medium zoom, and right about here I'll just shoot 2 eggs at the gate, and then I'll turn my camera once, roll, flutter up here, and then to get up to the upper area, I'll do like a roll, jump, flutter. So you'll see it's all roll off, jump, flutter up, and you want to go like a little bit farther back than you think, because the ground that you're trying to get on like slopes upward. You can see Banjo like moves up here, so the farther back you go, the easier it'll be to get on that invisible platform. So I flutter kind of far back, do a beak bust to get up, and then I zoom my camera out. Whoops, my bad. Zoom my camera out. Then I usually do like a flutter to the right here. And then I'll like do 1 C left, and I'll do a roll backflip. And generally, this is the tricky part about this trick, is getting up on this post. Because if you try to get up on the post from like over here, it like won't let you. So you want to like approach it from the front. But generally with the backflip strat is slow. A lot of people just jump and flutter onto it, which is a lot faster but more inconsistent. But yeah, then you just go straight forward. You can jump, beak bust, roll, whatever you want. Yeah, that's the void out. Alright, so before I get into each individual step of MMM Early, I'm gonna talk specifically about some of the elements of doing bit clips. So the first thing I want to talk about is doing twirly whirlies. So the idea behind this is that you're starting out with Banjo facing a very precise direction and standing in a very precise location, and you want him to be facing a new precise direction. So one way of doing that is to just hold Z and hold a direction on your joystick like this. And that is used for some parts of the trick, but obviously you only have so many directions you can face precisely that way. So in order to make it more precise, we do twirly whirlies. And the way that works is you go into C up, and then you hold either straight left or straight right on the joystick during the transition, so that by the time you can start moving your camera, you're already at a defined joystick location. So what it looks like is this. And then, in order to stop at the right spot, you have to hit pause right on the right frame. So that'll look like this. Now this is a frame early. So the way you can tell if you got the right frame is just each individual step. You'll just have to remember what the frame looks like. So I know that the door should be farther off the screen, or like more cut off than it currently is, so I'm 1 frame early. So one way to fix this, since I got the wrong frame, is I would unpause, and during the transition I would hold left to keep going left and wrap all the way around and try it again. And there you go, that's the right frame. But the other way, the faster way to do this, and the more consistent way to do this, because by going all the way around, you're likely to cause lag frames, which can mess up your setup. You would instead, you hold right on the joystick, go the other way, pause again, and hold left, and then do it like that, which is faster and more consistent. And so now, we let go of the joystick completely and unpause, and we hit C up, and we now see Banjo is facing this way, and if we hit the right frame, it'll be the exact right direction. Another important element of twirly whirlies to know is that in some instances you need to go up C and go left or right and then pause almost immediately. And when that's the case, the frame you're looking for on your first attempt will be different than any subsequent attempts. So for example, in this setup, if I go up C, hold on, I missed that. Right there. That was a really quick pause, and I can tell this is the right frame because the entire tombstone is visible on the screen, but just barely. It's like right on the edge of the screen. But if I were to fail it, then this is the frame I'm looking for. So on the second attempt and any attempt after this, this is the frame I'm looking for, where you can see the feather right on the edge of the screen, but not the whole tombstone. So it's an important part of Twirly Whirlies to keep in mind, because it matters for like 3 or 4 of the Twirly Whirlies that we do in this setup. So the next element I want to talk about is bear punch cancels. This is arguably the hardest part about the trick, but once you like get your technique down and understand what you're looking for, it's not too bad. So essentially what you're trying to do here is you're trying to hit B to bear punch, and then on the next frame you hit A to cancel it, so you only move forward 1 frame, and then you'll be in a very precise location. There are other precise ways to move, like you could do a beak barge or a full bear punch, and it'll be the same every time, but this is how we move very, very tiny distances to get that last little bit of distance to get into the bit clip. So what it'll look like is something like this. So what you don't want to look at Banjo, because if you look at Banjo, it's just going to look like he's stationary the whole time and he's not moving, even though he's moving a little bit every time. What you want to do is look at things around Banjo. So what I usually use, and there are some cases where, well, there's at least one case where it does not work, but I usually look at the stairs below him, and you can typically see some pixels on the ledges of the stairs move, and if that happens, then you know you got it. The one thing you have to make sure you don't do is a full A press when you're trying to do this, because here I won't press B at all and do a full A press, and you can see the screen moves a lot. Now if I just tap A without pressing B, the screen doesn't move. So if you're doing a actual bear punch cancel and doing a full A press, you won't know if the screen's moving because you moved or because you did a full A press. So what you have to do is a B, and then next frame just tap A. And if the screen moves, that means you got it. If the screen doesn't move like that, then you did not get it. It is also possible for you to press A a little bit too late. And basically the only way to know if that happened is just knowing the ways that the screen should change. And that just comes with practice and getting used to it, because there's a lot of different bear punch cancels in the trick. But in general, that is how bear punch cancels work. The technique for doing this changes depending on the person. Some people like to put their whole thumb across both B and A and like roll it across. I don't like that method. What I like to do is put my left thumb on B and my right thumb on A. And then I feel like I have much more control and I can do BA, BA, BA really fast. Alright, so now we are at the point where we're going to go through step by step how to do this trick. So there's actually 2 different setups you get, and it depends on which frame you get your first pause cancel. So for this first one, I'll show you the late frame setup. So I'll show you how you know that you got that frame and how to start up. So right off the bat, I'm waiting for the animation, or like the transition, the jiggy transition, to completely go away, so all the black is off the screen, and then I can start. And so the first thing we do is we enter Talon Trot, and during the Talon Trot transition, you hold straight up on the joystick. So it'll look like this. And now I'm just going all the way up this hill, holding straight up, and I'm looking for a certain visual cue. It's kind of hard to see on my display, but right up here, there's kind of like a sideways V thing like this. And I'm trying to time my pause, so I hit pause right as we walk to the back side of that. So like right about here, as because I watched Kazui's feet, and right as they're like just about to hit it, I hit pause. So now what we do when we hit pause here is we look at what we have on the screen. There's two ways to know if you got the late frame. One is I usually look at the green Jinjo because that's also what I use for early frame. And you can see there's kind of like a decently sized gap between like this part of the Jinjo's head and the bottom of the step. And the nose is like almost all the way down here. So you can tell just from this that it's the late frame. The other way to confirm that you have the late frame is you can see both of Kazui's feet are on the ground next to each other. So now that we got the frame, we go neutral on the joystick and we unpause. We let the camera settle a bit. I wait about this long, and then I crouch and I go straight right on the joystick. And now we're waiting for the camera to adjust again, so you have to wait a lot longer than you think. I wait until after. You see how Banjo, he kind of like peeks his head up and then puts it back down. I wait until after that's done, and then you want to do a backflip. I'll show you this way. I did the easy beginner way of doing the backflip where I pause buffered it. So I hit, while crouching, I hit A and then pause really fast. And then as I'm unpausing, I'm holding straight left on the joystick. And then now right here, I am spamming up C. And the reason I do this is so we go into first person right when we land. And with the late frame setup, it helps, I believe it helps to get rid of a potential lag frame that comes later. I'm not really sure why. So after that, I immediately come out, I'm holding neutral on the joystick, and then I crouch and go straight down on the joystick. I actually wait a little bit, let the camera settle first, and then I do it. And now we're gonna have our first bear punch cancel. I don't have a specific spot I look at for this particular one. I just kind of look in this general area of the stairs, and things kind of move around all over the place just a little bit. So if you watch this area, things will move a little bit when I get it. So for example, if you look like down here, you'll see this like black line kind of starts to extend outwards. Now, this is an example of a so we're about to do a twirly whirly here, and this is an example of one where you want to pause very quickly. So you're gonna go up C, and then you're gonna hold straight right on the joystick, and then you're gonna pause pretty quickly. So here I know I got it because the green Jinjo's ear is like just off to the right side of this tombstone here. But this is one of the twirly whirlies, like I mentioned earlier, where if you fail it on your first attempt, it'll look slightly different on your later attempt. So this is a good frame, so I could continue. I could go out of first person and continue the trick, but I kept going just for demonstration's sake to show what it looks like if you don't get it on the first try, and to show what my cue is. So my visual cue for when to hit pause is when this part of the roof is about to go off screen, but not completely off screen, I want to pause. So I want to pause so just a little corner of this is still on the screen. So I was a little bit late. And this is the pause. So you can see just the little corner of this roof is on the screen here. And you can also see, if you look at this Jinjo, I kind of look at its ears again, but both of its ears are like inside the tombstone this time. So now we're gonna unpause, go out of first person, and do a bear punch cancel. What you'll see with this bear punch cancel is this little part of the stairs right here. A little bit after you do the cancel, will like the light part will kind of extend out this way. So right there. Now we're gonna go straight right on the joystick for this twirly whirly. This is one of the harder ones for me. I don't have a great visual cue. I basically just try to pause right when this tombstone is like right in the center of the screen. This one took me quite a few tries. So you know that you got it by looking at the egg, and you can kind of see how it's like lined up with this post on the fence. That's how you know you got this frame. So we're gonna do another bear punch cancel. Now what we're looking at is this part of the stairs right here. You'll see this like this black line is like kind of thicker here, and it'll get like thicker over here as well if you get it. It'll like kind of extend and then extend out again. Just like that. Now we're gonna go straight left on the joystick for this. And I think this is the one I showed before. You wanna just time it so that this part of the roof is just barely still on the screen. So it'll look like that. For this bear punch cancel, what's gonna happen is that we're gonna get like, you see how there's like the light pixels on this step kind of like go up like this and then over. We're gonna get like one pixel is gonna extend over, and then like a second later it's gonna extend like all the way across. There's one, and then it extends all the way across, so we know we got it. And this is the last whirly whirly. I don't really have a visual cue exactly for this. What we're looking for is, let me go back a little bit. We're looking for this red feather on the tombstone to be overlapping with the gold feather here. And my visual cue is just kind of imagining as I'm going about where on my screen the gold feather will be and trying to get it to line up. So I don't really have a great visual cue, but it seems pretty consistent for me when I do it like that. Okay, so now we're ready to do the actual bit clip. So what this is going to be 3 bear punches. Bear punch cancels, I mean. But on the third one, so you know that we've been doing short hops for every bear punch cancel, but on the last one where we actually have to clip through the floor, we have to do a full jump. Otherwise our beak bust will not get through the floor. So what I typically do, I don't even like use visual cues to see if I got them. I'll just attempt 2 bear punch cancels, and then from then on out I'll do bear punch cancels with big jumps until it works. And you'll know that it works by looking at your shadow. Your shadow will disappear if it works, and then you want to beak bust at the top of your jump. So there's I missed that one. So there's 2 bear punch cancels. Now this one I'm going to jump higher and then beak bust. An important thing to note that I'm sure you would figure out on your own anyways if you accidentally do this, but after this, you want to be completely neutral on your joystick for the entire recoil of the beak bust. If you move at all during the recoil here, then you will clip back inbounds, and then you'll fail the trick. So you wait until the beak bust is completely over, and then I just like roll jump into the level. And there you go. That is the late frame setup. All right, so now we will go over the early frame setup. So the start is the exact same as before. We're looking for the exact same spot. But if we get 1 frame earlier, what we're going to see is this green Jinjo here. There's going to be a little black sliver right underneath this part of the Jinjo's head. And that means that we got the early frame. So what we're going to do here is go out of talent trot. We're going to let the camera settle, and then we're going to immediately backflip up to the left. You can still do the pause buffering strat that I did in the first example. I'm just showing both ways of doing it. So in this case, we hit backflip, and then we immediately go left on the joystick. I think it's like a 1/3 of a second window that you have to go left on the joystick. So it can be a little challenging. That's why when I used to do this trick, I used to do the pause strat. Again, we're going to spam C up just like before, but instead of going neutral on the joystick and immediately going out, we're going to actually try twirly whirly immediately. So we're going to keep holding left on the joystick, and then we're going to pause early on. This is another example of one where the first attempt will look different than other attempts. So here I missed it. So I'll show you what it looks like if you don't miss it. It looks like this. So what I look at is the egg. It should be like directly on this post here if you don't miss it. But if you do miss it, and you go back to the right and then to the left again, and what I'm looking for is for this to just go off the screen when I hit pause. So I hit pause right now, and that was late. Hit pause right now. And the way you can tell that you got it is that the egg is partially on the post, but not like completely like before. And then what we do after this, we don't do a bear punch. We actually do a beak barge. But you have to do a short beak barge. So you hold Z and you just tap B. And then during the beak barge animation, you have to let go of Z. You don't want to be holding Z at the end of it, because that actually will change your position. So we let the camera settle, and then we're going to do a twirly whirly to the right. What I'm looking for here is, you can see it's kind of hard to see because of the video player, but there's like this portion of the building where you can see through like this leg that sticks out. You can see the ground over here. We're going to pause right when that portion is just going off the screen. It's right now. And then the way you can tell that you got it is I look at all of the collectibles, and they're like all lined up with this left side of the door here. So the door's right here, and then all these collectibles will be like right along like this. And then we're going to do a bear punch cancel. This is one of the easier ones to tell that you got it. This part right here, a black line will just appear. It's really easy to see. Just like that. And then after this one, we actually enter Talon Trot. And then we go into C up, so we're looking the other way. Otherwise, we'd be facing the door. And then we're going to go to the right here. This is a kind of a tough one. I look for this post right here to go off the screen. So that was not correct. That was late. So the way you can tell that you got it is if the egg is between the two fence posts here, like perfectly between them. This bear punch cancel is the one bear punch cancel in the trick where nothing on the stairs makes any noticeable change. So looking at the stairs will not help you. I usually look at this area over here, and a lot of stuff changes if you get the bear punch cancel. That was a fail, and that was a success. So you can kind of see like a bunch of pixels around here changing around when you get it. And then this next twirly whirly, it's the example I showed before. It's another one where the first attempt will look slightly different. I also failed it here, so just as a refresher, I'll bring it up so you can see what it looks like. If you successfully get it, you will see the entire tombstone on the screen, but just barely. If you fail it, what I'm looking for here is see this line right here? I'm looking for this line to just go off the screen, and that's when I hit pause. And you can tell that you got it because you can see the whole feather, but you can't see the whole tombstone. The feather's like right on the edge of the screen. And then just like before, now is the time to do the actual bit clip. We're going to do 3 bear punch cancels. On the third one, we're going to do a big jump so that we can beak bust through. And then unlike the late frame, this one we can actually move towards the door during the recoil. I'm not sure why this is different, but once you get it, you can just start holding up on the joystick and then jump into the loading zone. And there you have it. MMM early. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions on any of my visual cues or any part of my setup.